Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we continue with our discussion on how we are going to transform this ummah and develop a transforming generation of young people who can achieve success, peace and happiness in this world and the hereafter. And we have discussed how up to the 17th century, the Muslims were the civilization of this world. And after that, we regressed for the last 300 years because of colonization and so on. And we are right now at the bottom of our strength and capability to contribute to the world. So what we need to do is develop a transforming generation, a new generation, by nurturing hope, love, and peace, so that we can overcome the current dilemma of the 21st century civilization that is also self-destructing themselves. So how to go about with it? We can just give some idea on how we can build up levels of belief. These are levels of belief in which at this point we can say these are believers. At this point, these are disbelievers. So if we look at the totality of the world today, we are actually going this way. More and more people are becoming atheist, agnostic, or just believer in materialism. Just believe, consume, greed, do whatever they want to do in life. So what they have at this level, this is like an iceberg. Okay, 80% is below. This is the 80%. Okay, and only 20% of the iceberg is above. Okay, so we are facing a civilization that is becoming meaningless in life, a civilization that is living in frustration, living in anxiety, living in depression, and a civilization that has inner conflict and also intra-conflict. That's why we can see a lot of turmoil today, and from that turmoil we can see that people who have mental depression, anxiety, people who commit suicide, people who are not satisfied with life, yet with all the material things in the world. They can be coming from first world countries with all the amenities and facilities, yet they kill themselves, yet they feel unhappy, they feel no meaning and no purpose in life and so on. So we have to provide a foundation for our transforming generation so that they can build up the level of belief to be able to defend first this Deenullah. That means if we are not careful, our youth who are believers will then regress and become the same pattern that we are seeing in the so-called first world. Whether it's in Europe, where religion is dying, where holistic lifestyle is dying, or whether it's in America, these so-called rich countries are producing people who are living in frustration, anguish, meaninglessness, unhappy, anxiety, depression. So the biggest industry now is the industry of how to alleviate depression and anxiety, for example, Prozac and so on. Why? Because of this. So we have to bring them up. And how to bring them up? That means for the Ummah, for the Muslims, there are levels of belief in which if we can follow this pattern, again, we can see how the concept of fear, hope and love can be molded within our community, within our young people, so that they will then carry on this torch of a good life in this world and the hereafter. So first and foremost, if we look at our inner self, we must have within ourselves the sense of fear, because this is natural. Allah has created fear in us. Even you ask an atheist, even you ask a person who does not profess in any religion, he will have within himself questions. Why? He has fear of death. That's why a lot of them take all kind of therapies, all kind of vitamins, pills, whatever, just to keep themselves young, so that why? They want to prevent death. Because why? They have a fear of death. So they have a fear of death, fear of the world, fear of unemployment, fear of so many fears that they have. But those fears are just illusionary. If we can come to this true understanding of fear, the true understanding of fear, all these things will disappear once we have one, with fear of transgression and fear of hell. So this is where we must have a concept of afterlife. So in Islam, we have this concept of afterlife, that we not only live in this world, but we are answerable to the creator of this universe about what we did on this earth. Our accountability in terms of how we are going to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how we are going to achieve peace, happiness and success in this world and the hereafter. So we must transcend that fear. So the best way is for us to instill submission to the will of Allah. So when we understand that we can transcend fear by submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we begin to understand the joy of being a Muslim. We can feel the joy of having a purpose and meaning in life. And once we have submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will not be submitting to all the other things. Because like it or not, in our life, there is no two way. We can either submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or submit to the lower nafs. For example, the lower nafs at this level is what we call an-nafsul ammara. These lower nafs are driven by evil thoughts, driven by Satan, driven by all those things that will cause frustration and anguish. So this nafsul ammara may offer you on the peripheral a beautiful life. You can do, you're free to drink, you're free to take drugs, you're free to everything. Everything is free. So they will say, come, join us. Take drugs. And what happened? You become drug addict. Come, take all these free immoralities, and you become a person with no purpose and meaning in life. Yet, we have to have submission only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have also the fear of transgression. But at this level, it is sufficient to guide us to become a practicing Muslim. So this is the first level. But most importantly, we transcend submission to love. So how are we going to do that? This is where we develop our iman, our aqidah, our ibadah, and our sense of being the Caliph of Allah, this striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good. So we have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, love of our family and self, love of all creatures on this earth. And then at this level, we achieve peace, happiness and success. So this is a very straightforward way of explaining to our transforming generation. You want this or this. You have no choice. Because without submission, there cannot be belief. There cannot be fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you have other fears. You have fear of dying, fear of no job, fear of no money, fear. So many fears that you are living today. You cannot run away from fear. You also cannot run away from submission. Because you have submission. Either you submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you submit to the lower nafs. And when you submit to this lower nafs, you will then be in failure, frustration, anguish, anxiety, depression, and all the diseases of the modern age. So once we know that our submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring us to the next level of love, this is the highest love. This is where Imam Ghazali, the Hujjatul Islam, explained to us how of our attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring us closer and closer towards the best of life in this world and the hereafter, of becoming the best of people in this world and the hereafter. And this is how we are trying to bring this transforming generation from disbelief to becoming a believer, starting at the level of fear, moving on to the level of submission, moving on to the level of love. And when we reach this, we will see the beauty of life, where we have all the good things that Allah can give us in terms of peace, happiness and success. Always remembering that when we do this out of our love, we will achieve to become those who are truly His servant and helper of Allah, striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, making the world good, and striving and receiving the best from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fulfilling our duty as the best of human being an achievers in life, and inshallah receiving the greatest of all mercy and blessings in the hereafter beyond this world. So inshallah, once we understand this basic concept, we will then be able to develop a transforming generation of love, peace, happiness and success.